Today's story is a bit crazy. Opie's wife was found cheating on him after she was admitted to the hospital with severe injuries. When Opie asked what had happened, he learned that his wife had allowed her affair partner to use her as a sex worker. Fast forward 5 years later and karma is still serving justice. In other news, I met my ex in college, and she was the most gorgeous girl I had ever seen. Throughout our 4 years in college, my ex-girlfriend always had a flock of guys vying for her attention. Despite sharing a few classes together, I never made a move on her because I felt like I couldn't compete with the other suitors. However, fate had other plans when she asked me to study with her after class one day. Long story short, we fell in love, got married, and started our careers in the same male-dominated industry, albeit at different companies. I found success almost immediately, but my wife struggled to make progress and eventually switched jobs. Although she worked hard, she continued to struggle in her new position during the first year. But things changed in the third year when she became pregnant with our first son. Despite being pregnant, she persisted and continued to work tirelessly. A few weeks after giving birth, during a routine checkup, my wife's doctor discovered precancerous cells in her cervix and recommended a biopsy. The results confirmed their suspicions, and the doctor advised us to have more children as soon as possible if we desired to do so, as the condition would progress, ultimately necessitating a hysterectomy. Consequently, we decided to try for another child as soon as my wife was able. Within a year, my wife gave birth to another baby boy. However, after further medical tests, different doctors advised us to have the procedure done as soon as possible and not wait any longer. Despite having 2 infants to care for, my wife had the procedure done. My wife was heartbroken when she found out that she wouldn't be able to have any more children, as we had hoped to have a large family. Nevertheless, she devoted herself to being an exceptional mother to our 2 sons and excelled in the role. Eventually, she decided to become a stay-at-home mom, taking care of everything at home while I pursued my career. Speaking of which, my career was progressing smoothly, and I was offered a position with another company that came with a significant salary increase. Life was good for us. As the boys grew older and went off to school, my wife started volunteering at their school and became a regular fixture there. I should also mention that we had close friends, A and B, who we had known since college. They started their family around the same time as us, but only had 1 son. We would often see each other and catch up on each other's lives. Our families were very close, and we would often go on vacations together, enjoy meals and outings as one big group. A and B, our close friends, also had a son, but after he was born, I returned to work and became very successful. Meanwhile, B had a good job until 2001 when his position was eliminated. The struggling economy at that time made it difficult for him to find another job in his field. Eventually, the decision was made for him to become a stay-at-home dad while he continued his job search locally, as they didn't want to move. As B spent more time at home, he and my wife started to spend more time together, doing things with the kids while I was at work. Even after the kids started school, they would still hang out together. However, as you may have guessed, they eventually had an affair. I understand that this story is quite lengthy, but it's far from over. About a year into their affair, B asked my ex if we had ever discussed having a threesome. It was nothing more than a fantasy for us, as our own sexual relationship was still going strong, albeit at a slower pace. B had a friend, C, whom he wanted to bring into the bedroom with them, and my ex agreed. On the day of the planned threesome, C came over to B's house and took his suit off while my ex and B got warmed up. They went ahead with the threesome as planned, and afterward. After the threesome, C told them that he typically paid for sex and left a couple of $100 bills on the nightstand. He asked my ex if he could have a one-on-one session with her. She told him she needed time to think about it, and B would get back to him. Eventually, C recommended someone else to my ex, and a business was born. Later, B was able to find work again and had to leave my ex on her own. She started using a separate cell phone and rented out a storage unit, which she used as her closet and office. She used the money she earned to buy outfits that her clients requested, and even bought a car to avoid being spotted in her minivan while going to hotels. The men had to pay for a room at a luxurious hotel. Meanwhile, she stored the car in a facility and used cash for all expenses. However, she never brought any money into their household, as far as they knew. To keep the children occupied during summer, they sent them to various day camps, which she claimed they could afford by tightening their budget. She only worked during school hours and always picked up the boys after class. Occasionally, B would pick them up and take care of them until she got home, but their home life was never negatively affected. The speaker acknowledges that they were working a lot and climbing the career ladder, but weekends were reserved for family time. Typically, the speaker and their partner would engage in sexual activity on the weekends, as it was the most convenient time given their work life. During most evenings, they would instead spend their time cuddling on the couch while watching TV. Fast forward to 2016 when their eldest son is in college and the younger one is a high school senior. The speaker receives a call from B informing them that their ex-partner has been admitted to the hospital. The details were vague, but B mentioned that their ex had sustained serious injuries. The speaker rushes to the hospital only to find their ex-partner hooked up to several machines, with medical staff having already cleaned her up and taken her for x-rays. Upon examination, the doctors find that she has suffered a broken jaw, broken nose, fractured orbital bone, and a possible concussion. She was crying, talking gibberish through her sobs and pain meds. A nurse said I should let her rest. They were moving her to a room soon. She handed me a bag with her clothes. I looked in and asked if these were hers because she never wears heels and the dress was unfamiliar. The nurse said this is what they brought from the hotel room. So they pushed me out of the room and I called my sons to let them know. Later that night, when the fog of the drugs were wearing off, I got some of the story. She drifted off again. I had my youngest son sit in with her and I called B. Why did he call me? How did he know before me what's going on? So became clean about what my wife was up to, leaving out the affair and his involvement. I was devastated. We eventually got her home after surgery on her jaw. The nose would wait. She convalesced at home. As she got stronger, I got the whole story. I called A and was told of the affair and that B was a pimp. She threw B out as she got on her feet. I told her we were done. I asked her to move out. She moved in with B. I got the divorce rolling. I'm sitting here 5 years divorced. I still love her. It is as if she had died, though the grief is unbearable. My boys know what she did. I have not spoken to her since she left. Update. I didn't have an update ready before, as there really wasn't anything to say until last night. I received a call from my oldest son R, who is out of town for the holiday weekend. A friend called him to tell him his brother S had been in a motorcycle accident. He was with him, but did not see the accident as he was riding ahead. I hurried to the hospital where they were attending to S and preparing him for x-rays. Upon arrival, I was instructed to wait for the doctor who would be out in a few minutes. As I sat with my head leaning back and my eyes closed, I suddenly heard my name. I looked up to find my ex standing in the doorway, inquiring about the situation. I informed her that I was waiting for news, and she asked if she could sit with me. I motioned for her to take a seat nearby. It had been 5 years since our divorce, and I was unsure of what to expect from our encounter. I had assumed that she would be disfigured from her previous beating, but to my surprise, she was not. Though her face was not as flawless as I remembered. One noticeable change in my ex was that her eyes no longer sparkled, a feature that I had always found captivating. Even with a mask on, her eyes didn't have the same brightness. I couldn't help but notice that when she smiled, her face didn't light up like it used to. Perhaps she just has a resting face now. As we waited, we made some nervous small talk, catching up on each other's lives. She complimented the landscaping I had done and how the plants had matured and looked really nice. After our divorce, I had made a conscious effort to purge any reminders of her from my life. I even replaced the bushes in the yard, which were something she had planned and planted. I didn't mention that I had also completely redone the inside of the house, even ripping out a wall. There was a construction dumpster in the driveway for many months. When she asked how I was doing for some reason, I was honest about how I had put myself at a standstill by working too much. However, I recently started seeing a therapist and joined a gym, as well as taking up bike riding. As for her, she had stayed with B for a couple of months and was seeing a counselor who encouraged her to take some college courses in her degree field. It took her a couple of years to complete them. She is currently employed full-time. The doctor arrived and discussed the extent of S's injuries. The most serious were his foot and ankle, which were pinned under the bike when it went down. Surgery was scheduled for him today, but overall everything seemed to be okay. He just needs time to heal and undergo rehabilitation, so he will likely be in the hospital until at least tomorrow, depending on his head injury. We will finalize those plans today, but that means his mother will want to visit, which may be a healing process for me. Update 2. My son is making good progress in his recovery, but he still has a way to go. We have decided that S will stay with me while he convalesces. He wants to go back to work next week, and his boss is setting up a way for him to work from home. It would be a nightmare for me to drive him to work and back every day, as he can barely fit in the back seat of my SUV and needs to stretch out. Everyone has been asking about my ex coming over. I usually leave when she comes and go to the gym or go for a bike ride. My oldest son has tried to organize a sit-down dinner with the 4 of us, but I shut it down. However, my ex has been very gracious and understanding. She has not tried to force anything and simply comes over to sit with our son. My ex has started cooking dinner for my son and sometimes even invites his friends over. She brings groceries when she cooks and takes care of cleaning up after my son, who is not the tidiest. While I find it a bit rowdy when his friends are over, my son enjoys having visitors and forgets about his problems. Although we don't talk much, we have conversations about our sons and their lives. Recently, my ex has started doing little things around the house, like cleaning up after my son and doing his dishes. She will also make a meal for him and then leave. When my ex makes a meal for my son, she always sets a plate aside for me. I usually tell my son he can have it for lunch the next day. Recently, my ex asked me if I would be interested in going out to dinner with her, but I declined. Later on, she suggested getting a meal together just to clear the air, but I still said no. Finally, I told her that our relationship ended a long time ago because of her actions, and it took me a long time to move on from that. I have no intention of revisiting a romantic relationship with her. She understood where I stood, and we left it at that. I mentioned that I didn't mind if she visited our son until he returned to his place. While I appreciated her cleaning, it wasn't required. Thank you for your support and kind words. I will persevere through this difficult time. Even though my heart has become hardened, you handled the situation very well, and I commend your response. Your ex is now emotionally distraught, while you are making progress and improving your life. It's crazy that she kept the truth hidden for 14 years. Your primary and sole concern at present should be your son. As anticipated, your ex is attempting to reconcile with you and restore your prior relationship after her affair partner abandoned her, and she recognized how disastrous her life had become. In the conclusion of your post, you stated that this ordeal has caused your heart to become hardened. I advise you to continue seeking therapy so you can genuinely come to terms with the hurt your wife has inflicted upon you. Concentrate on yourself and your child, and well done for taking complete control of this situation and not allowing yourself to be taken advantage of. Thanks for taking your time to listen to today's story. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and comment below on what your thoughts are on today's story.